Welcome to this fascinating video that explores the intriguing idea that our reality might actually be a simulation. For millennia, philosophers and thinkers have questioned the nature of our existence and the possibility that everything we consider real is nothing more than an elaborate illusion. Today, thanks to technological advancements and our increasingly profound understanding of the universe, we are able to closely examine the clues that could lead us to believe that we are living in a simulation. Researchers and scientists have closely studied the fundamental laws of physics, the complex mathematics that underlie our reality, and the unsettling anomalies that seem to defy rational explanation. In this video, we will explore the evidence that suggests our world is actually a simulation created by a higher intelligence. We will examine phenomena such as strange synchronicities, unsettling coincidences, and remarkably recurring mathematical patterns that are scattered throughout our reality. We will also delve into the concept of virtual reality and advanced computer simulations to better understand how our existence could be recreated within an artificial environment. Whether you are skeptical or curious, this video will invite you to question your perception of reality and consider the intriguing idea that we may all be players in a vast simulation game. Get ready to be amazed, surprised, and to question everything you thought you knew. So, open your mind and join us on this quest to discover if our reality is far more complex than it seems. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to not miss out on upcoming captivating videos that will broaden your horizons. Is this reality? Well, we're experiencing something right now. So maybe the better question is, what is reality? Could everything we see, everything we experience, everything that exists in our entire universe be artificial? Supporters of simulation theory believe that not only is it possible that we're living in a simulation, it's likely. And the more we look for evidence, the more we find. Let's find out why. The idea of the universe being a simulation is not a new one. Theories exist in ancient cultures around the world. Modern simulation theory comes from Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at Oxford who wrote an influential paper on the subject in 2003. Assuming that living in a simulation is possible, Bostrom presents the simulation trilemma, which says one of the following must be true. We destroy ourselves before we're able to create a simulation. We're able to create a simulation but choose not to. We are definitely in a simulation. Bostrom believes each of these is equally likely to be true. Now, I don't think that's controversial. We use computer models to study the human population, predict the weather, for entertainment. We simulate everything. And when a civilization can create a realistic simulation, the most obvious one to create is that of its own early existence. Bostrom calls this an ancestral simulation. And a civilization that can do this wouldn't just create one simulation, it would create many. And those simulated civilizations might create their own simulations of the universe, and on, like Russian nesting dolls of reality. Now, you're a character in that world, and you think you have free will and say, I want to invent a computer. So you do. Hey, I want to create a world in my computer. And then that world creates a world in its computer. And then you have simulations all the way down. When Elon Musk was asked what he thought the chances were that our reality is the original base reality, he said that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a little more conservative. He thinks the odds that we are in base reality versus a simulated reality is 50-50. A 50-50 chance that everything we experience is artificial. That's still pretty high. And even though we mostly hear what scientists think about this, it's not scientific theory. Simulation theory isn't math, it's philosophy. It isn't physics, it's metaphysics. So what we need is hard evidence that we live in a simulation, and to find proof, all you have to do is look. Let's start at the beginning. There was no space or time. The contents of the entire universe were concentrated to the size of a tennis ball and had a temperature of a quadrillion degrees. Then suddenly, the Big Bang. Everything explodes outward faster than the speed of light. Then, about 14 billion years later, we've got galaxies and planets. If before the Big Bang there was no space and no time, what was there? What about the beginning of the universe from the religious point of view? God created everything, fine. Where was he before? What caused the Big Bang to happen in the first place? What made God decide to snap his fingers or wiggle his nose or whatever he did to make everything happen? If you ask a physicist to explain what existed before the universe, they'll give you an answer about quantum foam, dark energy, or something just as bonkers as the Big Bang. Ask a theologian what existed before God created the universe, and you'll get an answer equally as confusing. But what does make sense is that the universe was just sitting there dormant, then someone, somewhere decided to boot up a program. And in that program, our program, where all the laws of the universe, electromagnetism, and gravitational force are written into the program. The speed of light gets a value. There's code for Planck's constants of mass, speed, and time. Avogadro's number is in there, along with a bunch of other rules that govern the behavior of everything that exists. All part of our program. Even consciousness itself is part of our simulation. If you've never heard of simulation theory, then this might sound far-fetched. But some of the world's most respected scientists, technologists, and philosophers believe that it is more likely than not that we are living in an artificial reality. Supporters of simulation theory often point to video games as a way to explain, if not prove, that our reality is artificial. In a video game, the only data that is rendered is what the player sees or interacts with. If you're playing a video game and there's a car or building a mile away, that entire object isn't rendered. The game engine only renders the bare minimum of information to make the object look real. A distant building is rendered as just a few pixels, not that complicated. As you get closer, the engine renders more details, but still, it's just a facade. The engine doesn't bother calculating what's inside the building. To actually go in, the game engine always knows how much data to send you and doesn't bother with anything else. If we live in a simulation, it would make sense that our reality is rendered the same way. And we could test this. The double-slit experiment, here's how it goes. If we fire particles in a straight line at a screen after passing through a single slit, we would expect to see this clumping pattern on the screen. If we try this with a wave, we expect to see a pattern like this, where particles are most dense in the middle of the screen but radiate outward, similar to the clumping pattern. When we add a second slit, it starts to get fun. When the waves pass through the double slit, each slit creates its own wave. When those waves intersect, they cancel each other out. That creates a pattern like this, called an interference pattern. So, particles passing through two slits create clumping patterns, while waves through two slits create an interference pattern. Make sense? Good. If we fire electrons through the slits, we see the clumping pattern as expected. An electron has mass, so it's a tiny bit of matter. So, if we fire electrons through two slits, we should see two clumps. But we don't. We see the wave interference pattern. This shouldn't be happening. What's going on here? For years, In the 60s, the experiment was modified so that only one electron at a time was fired through the slits. There was no way the electrons could interact with each other. Yet we still see an interference pattern. Scientists wanted to see what was causing this, so they added a detector to observe electrons as they pass through the slits. That's when things go from weird to paranormal. As soon as the detectors were installed, the interference pattern went away. And the clumping pattern returned. Take the detectors away, and the wave interference pattern is back. When you think of the simulation creator as an omniscient intelligence who exists outside of our understanding of space and time, it sounds an awful lot like you're describing God. And just like you can't prove we're not in a simulation, you can't prove there is no God. If something miraculous happens or something horrible happens, you can say it's part of the simulation just as easily as you can say it's part of God's plan. Something I find very interesting is that many believers of simulation theory are fierce atheists. They dismiss the idea of God as corny superstition. There are plenty of devoutly religious people who dismiss provable science like evolution and the age of the earth. People on the religious side say that if there is no God and life is just a simulation, then nothing matters. Without God to guide us and sometimes punish us, depending on what you believe, our actions don't have consequences. I disagree. Even if we don't live in base reality, we still live in our reality, and our actions here do have consequences. As for what happens after we die, simulation or not, nobody really knows. Both sides argue that faith and science are not compatible. Isn't this hypocritical? Whether you believe in God or you believe in simulation theory, the real question is, what's the difference? We want to express our sincere gratitude for your continued support and engagement with our channel. Your enthusiasm and positive feedback have been truly inspiring. As we strive to create engaging and informative content, we kindly request you to consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you ensure that you never miss out on our latest updates, videos, and exciting content. Subscribing is quick and easy, and it allows us to reach a wider audience and continue producing high-quality content that you enjoy. Your subscription means a lot to us and motivates us to keep pushing forward. We value your presence in our community and are grateful for your ongoing support. Please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of like-minded individuals. Together, we can embark on an exciting journey of knowledge, entertainment, and discovery. Thank you once again for being a part of our channel. Your support is invaluable to us, and we look forward to bringing you more incredible content in the future. With heartfelt appreciation.